Hello, this is with Amnesia or Matthew, whatever you want to call it, Veldrin, I guess. Yeah, just fuck. I was like, oh man, I should get a new mount, I guess. So, I guess. Oh, geez, look at that, eh? Almost there. You don't even need epic writing for that thing, so it's just, I don't know. Kind of attached to this thing after it's like what, 2016, I think. So it's like 3 years. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Ping sucks anyway. Make it better though. Get paid and then get some better internet, basically. So there's new internet options now. So go for that, I guess. $150 a month, but yeah, this is my still level 59. Almost to 60 now. So yeah, I guess I gotta go and farming would be kind of boring. I guess everyone's farming shit out of these things, but I guess we'll fly around, I suppose. So what's gonna happen, I guess, is a lot actually. Like, so fuck, I was at a new place. So my dad's got a new place. Cleaning the shit out of that place was just completely just a mess. Had to clean it all out. Had this big shop basically, so clean that all up. And he's getting that done. And then there's a little trailer down there I got. I hooked up with better internet. So, but yeah, I got a new I got a new computer, a laptop. So Acer something. It's like $1,000 some odd laptop. So it's got a Titan GTX or whatever the fuck they're called. The graphics thing, so it doesn't suck. I got that, but it broke ass until I get paid again. So, and yeah, so I don't know. I just thought, well, Crappy was gonna like, hey, you should make a new video. It's about time, I think. So, just like, I guess what's the difference? Okay, but like the gear's different, I guess, from the other video. Kind of just ground away. I don't think I've missed a raid since like fall of 2018. I think, I can't remember. I was surprised I even got this thing. This is just like a completely surprise. But yeah. Well, where's the boots at? You can use these things now because no more hit from that. But whatever. Yeah, the belt. So mail, I guess. Oh fuck, so what's different? So we're renovating my house now, so we got my house being built, a small one. I should really have pictures and shit. But I got this little house I'm building right now, and then I was like, hey, if brother and my mother kind of like don't have a house, so they're living this like shitty trailer thing with additions. Mom's living in a fifth wheel, so okay, so I had a deal where I basically making like just got this old trailer, keep the additions, and build them a thing. So I gotta move the RV. It's in the way. So I have the trailer tomorrow, and then they can work on that. I've got this deal through where basically there's this person at a big tool shed full of wooden tools and whatnot they're moving, so just $2,000 to get the whole thing. So got the tools and whatnot out of it, like just I don't know if you do like woodworking, but there's like planers, there's like a drill press, a bandsaw. The guy was worked, tons of all the stuff you want. So lots of work with that. So. And then yeah, just really busy, just doing that shit. So, and yeah, so this is coming up on a year now. Yeah, that's April. April's when I first went to Naxxon last year. So, and where the fuck am I? Here we go. Whatever. It's just a dragon. Anyway, I know it's a rare, but whatever. Someone can get that. Too jaded, but yeah. So you fly around Kilimdor, whatever. It's kind of, I think the name's based off of the Conan continent with more syllables and shit. Where's the cheap one? That doesn't matter. So yeah, just. Oh, I just think it's come down the stretch, like 1 year of playing this, like just Naxxramas, you know. I think it's been over a year now since AQ and stuff, but I think for some people it's been like years and years, and you think like Alarians and like shit tons of Naxxramas. It makes you wonder, you know, like how can something be so like alluring, you know, after you do it so many times. Like you have all the items, you have all the things. I guess it's the people, I guess. You know, because you can't really change, you know, as life, you know, you're kind of stuck in it, I suppose, and you can't really like, well, I guess you can die and see what happens, but that's inevitable and that's the default. So I guess you're kind of stuck. And I guess if you like something and it's just you know, the people around you I guess can change, but it's, I think people stay roughly the same, you know, like personality. Like you can change, but like personalities and stuff stays the same. You know, I think your general interests stay the same. You know, if you like carpentry, for example, I think you continue to like it. You know, something drastic happens, but I think, you know, so a lot of people like Alarian and stuff. They just really like. I think it's, you feel important. I think, you know, I think it's like, especially older people, when you get really old, when you're not useful anymore. You know, you feel kind of like you don't have a place in society. You kind of just exist. You know, I think as people we really need to feel important. You know, something about us. I think, you know, the survival thing or whatever. I think like loneliness, for example. It's I think especially with this, is everyone's so connected yet we're so far apart. We don't even see each other. I think we haven't even seen the faces of most people on here. So we do all this stuff every weekend, but we don't even know each other if you really think about it. Yeah, loneliness. I think it's like, I think back in the day it was like if you weren't with the group, you had no food, no protection. It was really bad, right? So that's why people are, you know, somewhat agreeable, even if they're dicks. They can still work really good, whatever, right? So you throw someone in the woods, for example, and you know they can work pretty good with the crew, whatever, right? So it's amazing what you can do. Find some people who are just really socially disagreeable, but you know they work really hard, you know. So it's many ways to live life, you know. You can't just be like a pompous goody two shoes. It's not the only way to live life, you know. You think about it, right? We're an unbroken chain of people who've, you know, wondered why we're here, didn't know why, had kids, raised them somewhat successfully so they could have kids again, and then they died, right? I think I touched upon the immortality of knowledge, where like we can pass it on, versus just like a frog or a toad or a slug, whatever, right? They just kind of just exist in this breed and exist and don't actually pass anything on to the next generation. It's like the first generation is almost like the exact same thing as the end generation, the last one, except for maybe some variations of, like, you know, to adapt to the environment, right? Like more, I think ants, for example, like the carpenter ants here, they actually like have antifreeze in their blood, so they can't actually freeze. They just kind of just, say you're cutting into a log and there's, you know, the fourth big one, a bunch of ants are in it, whatever, right? And they just kind of pour out and they're all kind of like, yeah, what's the word? Like not asleep. They're like comatose. That's the word. Then they kind of eventually kind of wake up, whatever, right? It's really interesting. And people are kind of like that in a sense, you know. Think of like all the great leaders and shit that could have been, but just they were in like a shitty like 9-to-5 job, or like people who could have been really good, like, you know, with more people, but they just had bad circumstances. Or a lot of like women, for example, had to raise the kids because, you know, single mom and all that, right? But yeah, I've been really thinking about debt, you know, how it's really bad for civilization in a sense, because like right now people, like there's a circumstance, there's this guy working in the woods and he bought a truck. He's got paid off in 7 years, but it will only last about 4 or 5 years and it'll fall apart, and he'll be still have to pay off the truck in those 2 or 3 years right at the end, and he'll have no truck. So you're kind of like, it's like a slavery in a sense, 2.0, you know. So we slave to our cars, our houses, our thing. You go to Tokyo and the housing is, you have to work 35 years, right? Like to get a box, you know, like small, like think of 2 RVs put on top of each other and that's your house, you know. And the thing that they call it affordable living, it wasn't like this back in the day, not even close. So I think people are more in debt and they don't have kids. People are really disagreeable and they have no resources. We fight all the time. Look at the Middle East. There's no trees or nothing. It's just all desert and water's hard to come by, and everyone's fighting all the time for no reason. It's hot and miserable, and you bake in the summer and you have nothing in the winter, and people fast. You know, it's crazy. But you know, like more resource, more agreeable. Look at the 50s, 60s, and 70s. You know, when people had more resources, it was, you know, you could argue music was more complex and people weren't as stressed out all the time. And all they were was for stupider reasons, kind of like it was kind of like for different stuff, right? Things change though, you know. Like the Spanish had a good time when they're kind of had all the gold and silver from the New World, and then the English kind of took over for a little bit, and then America kind of was the last one standing after World War I and II, and they kind of rebuilt Europe more or less with the Marshall Plan, and that really gotten rich with a lot of IOUs and stuff, and France wanted their IOUs turned into gold, and that kind of tanked the U.S. dollar, and so they said switch to oil in the 70s and back their currency, and now it's oil is starting to. About 40 years, I think they have, for stuff there like Shell and all the and British Petroleum and all that stuff. They're kind of looking at why this is important is because the world right now kind of runs on fossil fuels and oil and stuff, right? And the whole status quo of things is kind of based on America being stable, right? So China is, they're coming into power, and I'm kind of thinking, everything's changing. It's 2000s, 2010s were kind of like, they're kind of the same. Also had smartphones, the computers, all that. They're a bit different, but I think 2020 is gonna be really different. There's 3D printing is now on the rise, but 3D printing with plastic is everywhere. Anyone can get that, but 3D printing with metal, and it's gonna change a lot of the world actually, because right now it doesn't make sense to manufacture things in like the first world countries where they're really expensive. Like say you want to buy a car, for example, right? Or say like a computer or a phone, whatever, right? Something really expensive, hard to put together. The work over here is more expensive. I was going through this old tool shed, and the tools, like the ones I bought, they're made like they're industrial grade. They had like cast steel and stuff, and they were really strong. And the guy was 90 something, and they're he used them all his life, and he actually buried him. Actually, he was Walt Weber was the guy. I buried him 2017, and yeah, I got this weird crystal fade. I got this just tools and stuff, but those tools were they were made in North America. They were built to last. Like it was actually when people had careers to make things, and now it's just like I really wonder if it's going to change back again, where if you can actually manufacture things, like say you can go to I know how to do CAD and stuff, and actually engineering and drafting and stuff. I took drafting twice, got 100% on it twice. I'm really good with it. But right now everything's made over in Asia, China. But China's has trade unions now and too rich and moving over to Africa and Vietnam and stuff like that. The world's manufacturing hub. So I wonder if with automation, I wonder with like metal 3D printing, if you can say print a car, for example, right? Because right now you're kind of strapped over a barrel. You're kind of, people are poor, they're in debt. It's almost like modern slavery because they can't afford a house, because also there's a lack of carpenters to make a house. It might change with like, there's these things you make recycle plastic into like Lego bricks more or less and build a house out of those things, the big ones. So actually, Columbia made them actually. They're really cheap. Like they're gonna spread around the world. It's like actual affordable housing, not this joke of like, what they call affordable housing. But yeah, I think if you can democratize manufacturing, or you can say you have like a metal 3D printer, in some guy's shop, you can basically buy a kit, say with like, say if you want to make a car, for example, right? You buy like electric motors and like a kit for it, right? The peripherals to control it and the more high quality parts, because you can't make everything with 3D printing. For example, like your cell phones, for example, right? When you rotate them, how the screen can adjust to what position it's held up. There's a little thing inside of it that determines if it's upright or not. That thing's made in Germany. So even though the cell phone is made in China, in Shenzhen, probably north of Hong Kong, the little high precision device is actually imported from Germany. A lot of the phones and stuff. So it goes to show that there's always going to be like these select high performance, high precision manufacturing always around. But I think if you can make, say, like the majority of a car, your little kit, with the motors, peripherals, the batteries, that type of stuff, right? But you can actually manufacture the parts, like online at the blueprint, for example, right? And you have an open source, so people can just have better versions of it, continually iterate over and over again, right? So you can be like a guy from Ukraine, and a guy from like Germany, whatever, right? Or South Africa, Korea, whatever you want. Stuff I do. When we're making games, for example, video games. It's very hard to find people, and you can't just like walk into the forest and be like, hey man, let's go chop down a video game. It doesn't work like that. You can't just you chop down wood, but you can't chop down a video game. Just you have to really pursue it and develop it, and it's like this big great filter. Really smart people, they end up. It's like the more the less people will also know. It's yeah. So it's the more that you know, less that there is others who also know. So you get like less and less, and then it's really weird. All these younger people, they want to be these special snowflakes, to stand out, to be admired by their peers and stuff like that, right? But when you're actually like, when you're truly different, you're just like, hey, doing something that most people don't think of, or you're trying to do, you end up isolated in a sense, right? So it's just like hungering, or yeah, because I guess like loneliness, it's a human thing not to be isolated. It's bad. It's bad for your soul. You get gray hairs. You get aging. It's actually worse than like smoking cigarettes and stuff. It gets really bad. So it's it's really bad. So I gotta figure something out about myself, because like I'm getting like gray hairs everywhere. I'm like, it's just like I'm like aging and shit. And it's not good. So I gotta figure out some way to be more social, more or less. And that's the reason why I rate, I think, too. It's kind of to be more social. It's like rating's easy because you're dealing with people, and or just on, even if you wipe the raid and shit, you don't really lose anything except for your time. And if you're escaping the world, you're just gonna whatever, having fun. But if you're say you fail at life, like say, not just like overall, but say it's something, right? A goal, you're just wasting money, time, effort, and it's like something's really bad, and you have mental stress, and it's like, if it's your living condition, then it's really ramming home, because it's reality you gotta deal with, not just like some, oh, my character died, versus like, fuck, my house is fucked, so stuff like that, so it's like, I like the game because you get to escape, and that's why I like making video games, I think, too, because I like to be creative and doing this shit. But back to manufacturing, it's like it's similar. Like, I think it's gonna be different in the 2020s, because 3D printing is now affordable. It used to be like 10 grand to buy like a plastic 3D printer, and about 6 years ago, around that time, half a decade ago, more or less. And now there's this in California somewhere, I think there's this 3D printer of metal, right, for about 10 grand for industrial purposes. And I think once that goes down the line, people find cheaper ways to do it. But you need like a kiln and a crucible, like a oven, and like a thing for to work at, and it uses powders and stuff. It's complicated anyway. But I do think the world's going to change, because the petrodollar, they say that North America, like, basically, a lot. Okay. Interesting about the stability of like the first world we have, right? The USA, the big economy, and everyone else is kind of not follow suit, but is inspired by, I guess. They kind of copy a lot of policies and stuff, and like, say USA does something, and then usually Europe kind of decides if they want to follow along with it, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But most of the other worlds, USA's got a lot of influence. So when USA does something, usually a lot of people try to emulate it, or get the benefits of it, right? So USA's got a bit of a problem where their currency's backed by oil, and oil is kind of falling out of competition, because like, salt used to be really fucking expensive. Like, the Civil War is actually, in the USA, it was really expensive, where like, it was the only way to preserve food in the wintertime, right? So it's to the point where the Union went and basically messed up all the salt the Confederates had, to kind of sabotage them. But then when canning and freezing and stuff, people first freezing, they can actually cut out pieces of ice out of a lake, and they sent them around. That was the first refrigeration and stuff. So when that happened, that competition, salt didn't become as important anymore. It had a competition. So oil has no competition for a long time, but now there's electric stuff, right? Like, Elon Musk went crazy and made electric cars, more or less, actually viable. So now Volkswagen, now GM, Toyota, biggest auto manufacturer in the world, they're actually all going gung-ho for electric. So the whole thing has shifted. So as we grow up, it'll be the past, our memories and stuff, because the world that we come from it's not going to be the one that we're gonna find is gonna unfold, if everything kind of stays this way, because it's also electric cars, they're more they have less moving parts, they don't need as much maintenance, so it's cheaper to operate over time. I think if you can really democratize manufacturing, right, so you can actually like make your own, people can make their own houses out of recycled plastic and stuff, and actually at an affordable rate, you can actually somewhat half-ass make your car, but to a proper roadworthy degree, right? But actually have competition, not just it's not like bent over a barrel, getting raped in the ass by some person. You go to a dealership, and it's basically a storefront of this huge factory, more or less, or it was only about, you can spread out your hands. You have 10 fingers. There's only about that many huge major auto manufacturers in the world, right, with huge influence. and you have to kind of pick either one. And they're all kind of more or less the same in a sense. Like they drive off a car off a lot, and it's 30% goes down the value. Just, you know, that's the profit margin and shit, you know. So it's really telling when, you know, only the strongest like North American industries survived after, like, say there was when the world kind of got global, you know, the whole manufacturing, like it used to be like when you wanted, like, a couch or like a refrigerator, you know, something like that, it was made in the country that it was sold to, right? And then you got to the point where you could just make it over where it's cheaper, like Asia, when cheap shipping happened, right after the war, World War II. That changed because it didn't make any sense. Your competitors, your big company guy, your competitors kicking your ass because they can make say the refrigerator for, like, you know, half as much because they're paying the guys a quarter, you know, of what they do in North America, and you follow suit, right? So it's, you know, but now if people can make their own shit with 3D printing of metal and of plastics and stuff, with maybe some few you know, little kits, you know, you can put, you know, for the more fine stuff. I think that might change things. It might democratize and put the power back into the consumer and stuff. Oh, those trees are all fucked up. You can actually, like, you know, have proper what's the word? Competition, that's the one. So you're not, like, strapped over the ass and raped, you know, behind the barrel pretty much because you go to a dealership because you have no other options. You have no other option. You can't just make a car in your garage. It's not viable. You can't just go to, like, say, a single mother with, like, 3 kids or some shit and, like, oh yeah, make your own car. It doesn't work like that, you know. Housing, there's no, the carpenters, there's a shortage of them. It's like, it's so fucking expensive to hire a carpenter or a contractor and shit. It's like you have to build it yourself or kind of fucked, or, you know, you gotta, like, rent out your ass pretty much, you know, not literally, but, you know, you rent to kind of have a place. And it's like over in Canada, you know, where I am, there's shit tons of land. It's like Australia, but everything's green and cold. So, but it wouldn't take much to have a bulldozer and fucking some concrete shit, give people some jobs, and, you know, just have some plastic Lego houses and shit, you know. Even fucking homeless people could build that shit, you know. They're collecting up, like, beer bottles and shit all the time and plastic stuff, you know. So it's just a matter of time. But I don't think it's really, that direction has been changed, you know. I don't think there's that. I think things are gonna change in the future, you know. But if people go for it, you know, drugs and shit and alcoholism is a lot more easy to get now. It's more like, it's not like, oh, but bad Timmy for smoking that cigarette. Oh, that's really bad. Your palms are gonna fucking grow hairy or some, you know, shit. Masturbate. It doesn't work like that anymore. The world's more, just doesn't give a shit as it used to about certain things. And for better, for worse, I don't know, but it's just different. But it really sucks because you look back, like, say, the 50s or 60s, people had, I guess, no birth control too, in a sense, but there's a lot more kids, you know. You go down the street and there was, like, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, you know, all doing some stupid ass, like, roll the wheel or some gay shit, you know. I don't know, but, like, whatever they were doing, you know, some playing tag or something, right? And but now it's like there's, like, maybe 1, 2 kids and they're all on cell phones and shit, kind of just, or smoking weed. In my town, all my friends and shit, they're all fucking a lot of them are all delinquents, just smoking weed, getting drunk and high and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's like, this old lady was like, oh, Matt, why don't you have a girlfriend? Because they're all fucking losers, all of them. They're all fucking, like, they're all just doing drugs and getting fucking hoes, pretty much. I don't know how to describe it. You know, I'm like, fuck that, man. Well, not literally, actually, opposite, antithesis of that. Yeah, don't fuck that. So yeah, it's just, especially nowadays, it can't be like herp a derp and, you know, have a relationship and just be like, yeah, this is gonna work out. Because if it fails, right, you have to have 2 working people now to have a fucking family. You have to, like, pay off that 35-year fucking house, you know. Hopefully it turns into 15 if 2 people working in their ass, and then you don't have time for the kids, and you can't afford the kids. You can't afford the truck, the house, the kids, the education, all that type of shit. And education's all dumbed down because no one can fail anymore, right? You're like, oh man, Timmy can't get a F because we would lose whatever bullshit, you know, it's not politically correct anymore. And then he doesn't learn anything. Timmy doesn't learn jack shit, you know, because you go to school and you're like, fucking bam, you know, fucking problem. They don't even teach taxes and shit in school. Maybe they do in Europe, hopefully, but not over in North America. It's like, you're just fucked. It's almost like you're set up to just go in debt and be some fucking, like, modern slavery bullshit of tax. It's not good, you know. Over in BC, it's retarded, like, or British Columbia there. It's like vehicle insurance is mandatory, so it's like an extra tax, and it's a monopoly because there's no competition. Ferries are like that too. It's just retarded shit. It's just things are not viable to have kids anymore. It's just people why there's no like kids we're below replacement rate and shit because people can't afford them. It's not like we don't want to have kids, relationships and shit. It's just they can't afford kids. There's less people, so it's like it's not like this 50s, 60s. Oh, just whatever, be stupid, and it'll all work out. It doesn't. You fuck up like if your house, your car, whatever, right? That's your kids. They suffer too because they end up like with less opportunity. For example, I remember when I was in high school, I'm the only fucker who I got honor roll in my whole family, like twice, whatever. I just said fuck this. I had an education, got out of my old stuff, and just basically just went for it. Moved out, and my parents and shit just went for it. I was 13, and then just finished high school, different town, and then I remember the people who were on the honor roll, right? I'm like fucking poor and fucking like come from just bullshit. A lot of bullshit I come from, right? So a lot of like, I could have a lot of excuses, but I don't want to be a victim because you're gonna fucking die. So make something of your life. Don't just be a victim. Like, oh, poor me, I need a welfare check. Fuck welfare check, fuck that. So yeah, it's just so I was on the honor roll, right? And I was looking around me, and all these people who got there. Their parents, I remember one of them was actually helping me with like homework and shit, actually getting like scholarships and stuff. And like this person was really like wasn't drunk, wasn't doing drugs, wasn't in jail, unlike my parents, So they could help their kids, and they actually had like a proper fucking like the house wasn't like cops and shit and drugs and drunkards and and violence and chaos. So you actually do homework and they'd actually help you with your homework, not just be drunken losers. So it actually helped the kids a lot, and they're more successful. So if you actually have surprise if you actually have good parents, it helps the kids out, so they have more opportunity. And every single one of these fucking people, I have nothing against them. It's good. We need more smart kids. God help us. If there's like a billion, draw a circle around China and India, there's more people in that circle than outside of it. So we're fucked. Like North America and stuff. Because like, if we don't have kids, we're like in China and India, it gets more up to our standard of living. Like, oh, God help us. We're screwed, man. So because because it used to be like China wasn't developed. They just couldn't do anything developed. Like the Soviet Union was kind of like that, right? But then they developed their shit, and then they actually more or less kind of got more competitive, but not still poor and stuff. But yeah, it's just like it just makes me think, what the world's gonna be like. Because I watch these old videos, right, of like these people, different attitudes of like back in the day. Like I research like World War II, World War I, all that type of stuff. I do tanks and stuff, right? So I see all these other videos of just the attitude was different. It was like, oh, the working man strong and hold the family down. Oh, and the woman just has a bunch of kids and no birth control for a year, and they get beat up sometimes, and it doesn't matter. And like, but then it's like, oh, we need you in the factory to beat the Russians or some shit, And then they did that, and then women, oh, I like jobs, and then people were like, that's the whole women haven't really been in the workforce for like 100 years. Think about it, right? Like after World War II, it was kind of like, I think in the 50s, the only job you could really women could actually kind of socially kind of accepted. Apply for was like a flight attendant, and there was one role where it got ridiculous where it was like 5,000 women trying for like a position on an airplane at the berth of the airlines. It was retarded. So you had to be like, so they got these super women who are like nurses, doctors, scientists, some shit, like that on there, and it was just like nuts. That's why like there's all like qualification to be a flight attendant. Anyway, so yeah, so it's just like shit's different now, really different than it used to be, right? So it makes you wonder like. We're not having any kids, North America, India, China, they have lots of kids. It's like the next phase of life is going to be over in Asia, It's going to be like, there's more innovation in Shenzhen, China, where they make all the, probably where your computer's made, where your phone's made, because Apple's there, Microsoft there, Acer's there. All these people, they're all over there, right? They're being made in China because they have these people. Shenzhen used to be this little fishing village till Frogman, not Frogman, the guy before him, the communist leader guy of China, was like, let's have some free economic zones in China that aren't completely communist so we can grow economy and stuff. And the little fishing village above Hong Kong was designated one of them, so they end up just like totally making this into like a big innovation hub. And now it's actually probably the fastest growing city in human history, Shenzhen. And it's fucking massive. And so instead of like say Silicon Valley, where it's like you have to go to a different place and like a week, whatever, it takes like 3 weeks to get a prototype. Go to Shenzhen because they make all the shit there. It takes like 3 days. So and there's no copyrights bullshit in China where like, oh, you can't do this because it's copyright. It's good and all, but like it's all free range Wild West shit over there. So you basically just whoever makes tell you a story. Those little gimmicky bullshit things with the two wheels you stand on. They're like hoverboards or some shit, the basically the two wheels. And a guy patented that shit over in I think California or something like that in the States. And he's like, I need a manufacturer, but I can't figure it out. Then people took the patent, because they're online, and they went over in China and they made this shit and they just sold them like nuts. We're not an American company, so we can just make whatever, right? That was that ruthlessness, kind of bullshit of stealing intellectual property, but it led to this huge innovation, like crazy. It's like everything's open source over in China, more or less. You can't actually, as long as you're good, good with the government, you can do anything you want, more or less. You can make anything. There's no copyright shit going on. So you have an idea. You can go down to the next like building, and there's the factory. You just boom, go make it, right? Versus, oh, here, you gotta send it over to China, the manufacturing shit, and 3 weeks later, you gotta send it on an airplane. It's less bullshit. So China has this actual innovation hub, and it's they're catching up. On that point, we think in the West we're so far ahead of China and India and stuff. Like, oh, they're a bunch of poor third world. They're not. Most of them are, but there's certain hubs that are like actually more innovative than over North America, in Europe and stuff. So we need to figure out these problems. I think crippling debt for most people. There's no more middle class. There's like you're poor, debt. You're voting for like social security, not so like social programs like welfare and fucking food stamps and shit like that, and health, all these things like that. And also education is retarded. Like why would you get your young people who have to pay off the pensions of these old people that had enroll in hospitals living longer? It wasn't like that when the old people were, when they were young. Old people just died back in the 15, 16. It wasn't like this now. So there's less people take care of more old people who are living longer, and yet they're taxed out the yin yang to get like, to get educate universities and shit, right? Like it used to be back in the 60s, 70s, you could be, oh, you're an engineer now, you went to university, you guaranteed job, and you had the one job, so you could buy a house or two or a car or whatever you wanted, it was, and you could basically just have a bunch of families. It wasn't as stressful and hard. You could do more things, right? You could actually grow. The golden age, right? It's not like that anymore. It's not like that. It's different. You have to kind of be like a motherfucker to get anything done, more or less. So yeah, it's difficult, but you can do it though. But when you succeed, there's so many people who don't cross that great filter, that big threshold. Like say, oh yeah, getting land. Most people never do that. And most people in North America won't buy their own private property. They'll be renting it their whole entire life. They'll never own their own home. So they'll always be renting. Always, or they'll always be paying off a mortgage or some shit, something like that. And then it's always debt, It used to be like you could have everything paid off and it was yours, but now you're always in debt, and it's bad, It's not good. It's not strong because you can't actually have financial maneuverability if you're always in debt. For example, when the Black Plague hit in Europe, all the rich people could buy like chalets and shit out in the wilderness, right? Out in the countryside. And it stink like ass in the cities, really bad, because people throwing shit out the window of buckets and stuff, right? And people had no washing their hands. It's doctors cutting open people and drain their blood and shit. That'll work. And people giving babies and not washing off their hands, shit like that, right? It's amazing anyone fucking survived. Birth rate was like, you have a decade of having kids and about 5 of them die. It's like before they're 40 and good times. But people who survived the Black Plague back then, right? My original point, they were either clean, like they actually had they weren't just heathens, or they had good genes. That's some type of thing that was sort of different, made us better. And they could not just die like their parents. That happened too. Or they could just say, "Fuck this! I'm going to the countryside." Because they had money, they could just say, "Fuck you guys! I'm going out. Get out of here." And they did that. So isn't this crazy? People used to have these names, so, you know, like cobbler and all the poor ones who are like, I'm Mr. Street Sweeper, or I'm Mr. Gong Farmer, you know. Before the Black Plague, there was all these names, a whole diversity of names, right? After the Black Plague, it was like there was Smith, there was Miller, there was like Fetcher, stuff that actually made money and was always in demand, you know. So actually, it was like a big filter, right? Who actually survives or not, right? So Smith was always in demand. It was always, you know, it was the shit. I think Schmidt is like the German version, anyway. But yeah, it goes to show, you know, things happen. Also, like over in Italy and stuff, people were making fun of these grandmothers. Oh man, the kitchen's not full because there's shit tons of pasta everywhere, right? But you think about it, right? Think of poverty and shit and the problems and war as like a rising tide, you know. And the more resources you have, it's like an island, right? Like this thing here, right? So the more bullshit that rises, right? Only the strong ones stay above the water. So all these like grandmothers who just hoarded pasta and dry goods and things, right? Versus just the, you know, hand to mouth, you know, paycheck to paycheck people. Those people died out in the Black Plague. They didn't make it. They just didn't. But people who could actually, like, you know, hoard the food, who could actually, you know, have the big families, and, you know, when the bullshit level went up high, they could still weather the storm, right? They could weather the bullshit storm. But now we can't do that, you know. If that actually happened, like say there's fucking some people threw around some nukes for fun, like, oh, jolly good, let's see where they land, right? I'm very sporting, right? If that happened, right, the oceans would be fucked. Like there'd be, most people live on the oceans, you know, like most cities are on the ocean, most people live in cities, and like it wouldn't work. So most people like die. I think Japan is an example of like a lot of fresh fish. If fish is not really like fresh, they're like, ah, fuck this shit and just throw it out, you know. And like, but if the ocean's fucked, right? Say New York is, like, you know, bombed or something, like the ocean would be all fucked up around there, right? And it would the fish would have problems, and a lot of the water and stuff would not work, and all these people who are dependent on like a system, you know, like they're dependent on like welfare, and they're dependent on these government systems. If that falls apart, right, these people are fucked, and I'm really worried about that because we have no industry like to rebuild things, you know, like World War II, you know, everything, all the war equipment, all of the soldiers, all of the, you know, a lot of the most soldiers, about 3 years they're good for, right? The tanks blow up, you know, blow up 3 years. The guns weren't blow, you know, most of the stuff wore out about 3 years, right? But the war lasted longer than 3 years. It was 1939 to 1945, right? So it was, you had to have industry to keep up the new equipment and iterate, right? 'Cause stuff got obsoleted. We can't really do that in North America anymore because we're depleted, you know. Europe's kind of depleted too. Some ways, you know, a lot of manufacturing's gone. You be like a machinist back in the day. Oh yeah, I'm a lathe man. I just fucking turn shit on this thing, and just that's my whole life. It's a union and shit, and pension out the ass, and house and all that. I just turn shit on a lathe. Yeah, it's like it doesn't work anymore. You know, people will have different. There's no more machinists like that. There's no more jobs like that. So it's, you have to be more. People rotate their careers now, you know. It's because people are like, hey, fucking family's expensive. No, people not having kids. So yeah, all this shit's kind of been going around my head, you know, turning around. Also been working on my other games, like I work on my medieval fighting game, and in Unity and stuff like that, and also working like Baldur's Gate, finishing that up, and this item thing where you upgrade items and shit. Anyway, working on that. Also playing some sick ass guitar, and like, I'm trying to like get drum sets so I can like make some cool ass songs, and I want to get a song on the radio, you know? Make a cool rock and roll song, just learn how to sing properly, get better at that, and just like I'm good at guitar now, where it sounds cool. It actually sounds like a guitar proper thing. And put it on the radio, just do it. I'm gonna die, so like, just go for it, you know? I'm not gonna make it out of here alive, so, you know? Like the big reason I was playing this game, it was like, hey, people aren't going to be playing Naxxramas for very long, maybe, and like, yeah, this is before, you know, Classic was announced and shit, right? Maybe that will tank, I don't know, but I was like, I want to get this experience of one of the best, you know, periods of online MMORPG gaming when I could. I wasn't born early enough, you know, but like, I was doing this, so I was like, I want to have this living experience, so I could, when I make games eventually, I can have this in the back of my mind, how to make a proper raid experience, I should probably do the rating of like TBC and Twitch King and shit. But yeah, so but I've kind of been poor and haven't really been playing a lot of games and shit. Just kind of just mostly making them. I think I'm just not as wowed by games and shit. I used to be like a little kid, like, wow, this fucking Ghost Recon's cool, he's shooting all these people, and oh my god, World of Warcraft was the shit, you know, like killing these kobolds and stuff, and holy fuck, what's that? It's like Duskwood, holy shit, there's zombies, you know. It was more enticing, right? But like, I think as you get older, like, a day isn't as big as when you're younger. Say you're like a year old, right? A day is literally like 365th of your life, you know? Or say you're like 90, it's like 1/10,000th or some shit of your life. It's not even like the ratio of how impactful. I think a lot of young people, they're like, they don't quite get that life kind of carries on, so everything's really impactful for them, right? They're like, wow, holy shit, this is a thing. And people's opinions around them means a lot to them, right? A lot of young people, they want to impress, you know, people like, wow, I want to be the best, number one at whatever, oh my god. And then like they want to fit in and shit, but once you're actually like, you know, been through things, you're like, you don't give a shit about that anymore. You just want to just get your goals done, I think, or just want to be comfortable, fulfilled, or comfort, you know. Some people, it's easy to be comfortable. It's like glug 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 glug, you know. What are problems? Versus fulfillment, you actually got to develop yourself and constantly fail until you can't fail anymore, and just, yeah. So most people don't do the fulfillment option, but it's more legit, you know. It's like, because you're gonna die. Like, just do something you like. And you feel like raising fish or some shit, just go for it, you know. You're not gonna get a second chance. You maybe die, reincarnate or something, I don't know, but I don't know how that shit works. But you know, you only have one version of yourself. You can't just be like, hey man, I'm gonna shoot myself and try again. It won't, like, you know, it's not like, what you can tell God if say God exists, right? Dude, I gave you this thing, you're born in first world country, more or less, you know, these things, you had opportunity, you fucking shot yourself. Like, what are we gonna do now? Like gee, like what are we gonna do here, you know? Like, you fucking up and shot yourself, you rage quit, like, come on, like, how am I supposed to reward that shit, you know? I think that's why kind of suicide's bad, you know. Like, say if you were like, you know, it's kind of, you should not like just throw in the towel and like, fuck it, you know, too hard for me and just quit. So you should always just fucking fight and fight and fight, like, you know, don't go gentle on the good night type of shit, right? And just I don't know, a lot of debt and shit and like boring ass stuff, but talking about, I guess, but it's just, I should really make a fucking video of a guitar and just play that shit. I looked into the copyright laws in Canada. It's like, well, it's really interesting, but like, as soon as you make something, it's like a song, it's actually copyrighted to you, you know, officially, but like you have to register and shit, and, you know, and make it kind of more orthodox and stuff, more easy to, you know, to prove in court and all that type of stuff, right? But yeah, so if you make a song, just fucking, you know, always in Canada, it's as soon as you make it, you're copyright holder of it. So yeah, unless you're like making it for a company or some shit, right? But you don't do that shit. Self-publish. Fuck those guys. But yeah, on that. So what the fuck else has changed around here? I think I'm eating better, getting more. So I got a bunch of weight sets, so fucking pumping the irons now again, which is good. It only has like 135 pounds, so it's like, it's not even a good rep. I want to get up to like 300 to be nice, but whatever. But yeah, so I would get more weights, I guess. But yeah, so I'll do that. Fuck, man, like this whole Gressel thing, right? Like this whole fucking thing. I was like, oh man, I'll just get the thing and fucking it'll be great, and you know, just like it won't take that long, right? Until a year later, and it's like Matt, you just suck ass at this game. Like, well, I literally got like 40% like less because I'm getting server fucked because of the lag, right? So I'm like, oh, I'll just fucking swing this stupid axe around, right? And then, you know, it does something, I guess, because like, you know, it's like, hey, you can buff up the mage damage and all that type of shit, right? So, but it's really ironic where it's like all these people are going after meters, right? But it doesn't show up like the percentage of like the bonus of nightfall for meters, so I don't actually get the. So on the meters, it's like your DPS sucks because you're basically, it's the equivalent of like a one-handed weapon you're swinging, but it's two-handed, so you're like, you know, it's like less, you know, and plus the internet sucks, so it's like, but then he doesn't account for all the spell damage, which is crazy shit, you know, going on, but like ignites and stuff. So it's weird, right? But I think it helps the raid out, I think. So I don't mind it, but it's just like, I kind of just want to get like Gressel and just be like, yeah, I got the the sword and this things, but like I don't think I'd quit the game. I just want to finish Veldrin off more or less, right? Just kind of get his items, and then I can play my fucking other characters and get them, you know, because playing a warrior, it's like I think on Courage here, it's just been like I think like one thing left or some shit. Where is it here? It's always this thing. I think over veneer always get like what the fuck is it? Okay, it's this one. So it's like the damn gauntlets, right? It's just it never ever goes to me. It just I guess it doesn't make sense. Right? It's like go to a DPS burst. Right? It makes sense, I guess, but it's like over a year now. I don't know how many times. I think it drops. If you do the math, it's like let's see here. So that's like 8 drop a year or some shit. I think. So it's like 8 people have got the gauntlets. I think I've seen. So it's like, yeah. So it's just a thing, I guess. You know, so you don't fucking do the thing, you don't get the loot. But it's like, fuck, man, a year. But whatever. It's not all about the loot, I guess. But fucking, it's cool as shit, though. What am I doing here? I think it's more of a completion of the experience, really. You know, it's like you go all this time, all this effort, sacrifice just to, you know, finish. I think I just play another character. I think if I got everything done, the mount, the thing, the this, the gear, the that, everything. I'd want to tank though. Next Ramus. I don't think my experience is complete. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be able to tank next Ramus, actually be a warrior, like a proper one. Where the fuck am I going? It wouldn't make any sense just to, like, you know, get all the gear. But yeah, because I've actually had personal servers where like you get all the items and shit, and you're just like. You realize that this whole pursuit, it requires people to actually like to go, wow, that's cool shit. Because if you go on the personal server, you just kill everything you want. Just this one dies, this one dies, this one dies, dude, this one dies again, and resurrect him just to kill him again. You know, it's like, and you can spawn all the items, so it has no meaning, right? The whole reason these things have meaning is because the challenge, because they're exclusive. These things only 8 of these things drop a year, you know, if you're going around. But now we only get half that, so it's like if you're doing like half AQs, and it's only 4 of them drop a year, right? So then you're kind of fucked if you're a person like myself, because you're like, oh, just fucking get fucked with the internet. And it's like, oh, that's great. But I think maybe some weird fucking way, it's like if I got everything, say if I was pampered, right? Got all the items, got all the shit, right? Maybe I wouldn't learn as much as an experience, right? Because at the end of the day, my whole objective of this was to like, what is an average player, not average, but a player's perspective? Actually sit in there, like when you're learning a language, you see one of their Spanish, or you go to Spain, you just go in there and just go be crazy guy, right? And you eventually, by saturation, you'll learn the experience, right? But here, it's like, I think I'd learn more, I think, this way. I think I have learned more versus just getting all the items and shit. Because my first game plan was kind of whack, because it was like just these things and that. Look at my loot list. It was all fucking all over the place. It was like, holy shit, man. And like actually going through all this raid after raid after raid, and always getting passed on things, right? It's like I've always have to go through more raids. There's people who've churned, who got the items, who get everything, and then they quit. I've seen a few people quit, you know, just quit. They get the gloves, they quit. They get the sword, they quit. They get this, they quit. They get that, they quit. This, they quit. And it's like, I'm glad I don't quit, you know? So maybe it's like, I don't want to be like the workhorse and just be like, oh, fucking don't give them any. I'm just fucking show up all the time, right? I don't fucking miss shit. I think I canned. It was my sister's birthday day. I was like, they wanted the whole weekend. I was like, fuck that. I don't give them that raid for, you know, I'm not giving that shit up. So I just like, yeah, I have shit to do also. So I just like, no, I'm not doing that. So I actually, you know, like my weekends off and stuff. When I got weekends off and work and shit, that's just like always to keep raiding, right? So, you know, but I think it's, my intentions may be one place, but the actual what I'll get out of it maybe come from a different place. And I might actually like, I might actually get more out of it, even not realizing it. Like, as humans, we can't see everything. There's this bullet shrimp who can see like fucking infrared and fucking crazy ass shit. They can see like probably more colors than we can and stuff, right? These bullet, these little shrimp ass things in like little vents down in the ocean, right? Humans, we can't see everything. We can't experience everything. We can't. Our perception is flawed. We're humans. We're fucked up, right? So maybe my fucked up perspective of this was like, oh, I get all the items and things and get the warrior and tank, but I had no interest. I couldn't do that. I'm like, fuck. And then, yeah, but I did it anyway. It's like, I was grinding with the fucking axe, you know. And then did that. And then I'm not expecting this crossbow, but I did anyway. But like, I think I get more out of it in the end. When everything's said and done, at the end of the day, you know, when the fat lady sings, that this route, the more slow, arduous grind, finally through attrition to get the thing right, it might offer more experience. You don't like cucked over. Oh yeah, it's working everything. No, you don't want to be like that. Life is finite. You can't just be someone else's workhorse. It's not fair to everyone. And the person who's using it doesn't win it either because they're just kind of like going easy mode. They're actually like they're cheating themselves by actually robbing themselves of their experience of actually doing it legit. So people in prison always have these shitty get rich fast schemes. People stay out of prison. They're actually really fucking smart, and but most people aren't like that. So. And you end up cheating yourself, It's like, it comes around, goes around shit, It's like, it really does, The more you just fuck around with stuff and just, like, try to cheat the game or use cheats, you end up ruining the experience. So they could just, like, fucking just, like mash the keyboard, and just get your items. It wouldn't make the game better because you skip the experience. The whole reason these things even have value because they make the experience... They're representation of almost like trophies in a sense, you could say, right? But if you really think about it, right? The more items you have, the easier the game gets, right? So you actually kind of lose your experience. You get easy mode, the more powerful you get, the easier it gets, right? But it's almost like life's like that, in a lot of ways, Like in World War One, there's this guy saying it's like, he's talking about like, you get interviewed right after World War One, and he's like, they're saying like, how's it like to kill people, common thing. It's like, well, it's hard, right? It's really hard. You shit your pants, you piss yourself, and you're crying, but it gets easier the more you do it. So the hard, every hard thing gets easier the more you do it. If you can, the old saying, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger type of thing. But hard things get easier the more you do it. This is almost like a simple representation of that. The more you kill a boss, if it drops good items, you get to use you get more powerful over end. So it's like, life's kind of like that too, like where you start at a deficit. You start where things are the hardest at the very beginning. Like you say you're playing guitar, you fuck it up. You're like, bing, bang, bang. It sounds like a fucking freight train of ass. It just doesn't sound good. EverQuest is like this thing where you're trying to navigate. Where the fuck is north? You're like, I don't know. It's like I think it's north. You have to keep on failing over and over and over again until you eventually get better. Life's like that in a sense. It's like you just fail and fail. See, you have a big old mystery you're trying to solve, right? And it's like, fuck, how do I get this house built or some shit? Like, look, you can salvage momentum, you can't salvage stagnation. You can salvage momentum, you can't salvage stagnation. You can salvage momentum, you can't salvage stagnation. So don't be a lazy fuck, smoke a weed, drinking booze, and be like, yeah, this is the word. Like, it's not good. NASCAR, another left turn is not the lifestyle you want. You want to just keep failing. Maybe not, because I got all this gray hair and shit, and like all stressed out because I'm fucking dull as shit, and it's like, don't put around a hunch of hoes and stuff, but like, so I'm like more alone, but it's just like, you should keep failing at things, especially like, love has no meaning without sacrifice, but yeah, sacrifice has no meaning without love. Like, you're just doing shit just for no reason, you're just going through all this shit for no action, for no reason, you don't love anything, you're just kind of doing it just to be like a sadist or some shit. Life won't really kind of like, oh wow, you just kind of whatever, right? We have to have meaning to your shit. It's like you can make your own luck. Don't wait till the iron's hot to beat the shit out of it. Beat the fuck out of the iron till it's hot. Just don't give a fuck. Just do it. Cause you're gonna die. Just fucking fuck it. Life. I'm gonna die. Give me these passions from the fuck of God. I'm just gonna go at it. Just don't give up. Because if you do, you're gonna die. So it's all gonna come to an end anyway. So just try to do something. So try to live when you have the chance. Because you're gonna die anyway, so go for it. You have nothing to lose, really, unless you die. So when you fall down, make sure you can like fall on your back so you can get up. Your reasons will get you up. You can make sure when you fall, you can get up. Don't just do leaps of faith, random shit. Play it smart. Like, don't be like the hero guy who's like, oh, I'll just sacrifice everything to get this one foot. Do it for a reason that matters. Not just for your peers, not just for people around you, but for yourself, your goal. Be like the motherfucker who slowly grinds away, at something, because life will make luck. It'll just be like fucking miracle or some shit. And this truth is stranger than fiction. Like, fiction is based off of history, like look at Game of Thrones, all just kind of rebranded history, kind of fucked around a bit, with all the best bits kind of rammed into one timeline. But life is like, you know, the lazy fuck. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna do whatever. Like for example, Valdrin is kind of a lazy fuck because he doesn't drink any potions and doesn't do all the steroids and shit because he's kind of capped anyway. So it's fucking, what's the point? But I should, you know, like do these things. So even drink the potions just for reasons, just because, you know, just do it anyway. But I realize like time, life, gotta build his house and shit. And the excuses, oh, so convenient. Fuck, why so, you know? But like. Because if you fail at things, you know, you can recover them. Like, think of this, like a big stupid, right? A big fuck up is the equivalent of one small smart. Because you can salvage momentum, you can salvage your failures, you can salvage other people's failures. You know, you can do that stuff, right? If you know where to play the game, right? You can. You know, some person's like, going hard. And, you know, the bigger people, say this guy's a big operation going on, right? There's little trickle-down effects. For example, say there's a really enthusiast who's just racing all the cars everywhere, right? You can usually find, like a spare car or whatever, some more tools or some shit, you know, on the cheap the guy doesn't use. You know, like, for example, say our World of Warcraft characters, right? You just, like you get all these items and shit, right? You get all these like loot, you just like throw away the fucking stuff you don't use anymore. People are like that, right? Where they just see they're really enthusiasts. So it's always kind of good to like, you know, look at people with this common interest. So you want to start something, you can find someone who's doing it already, and they'll usually have like extra shit. You know, if, you know, like the sports team, they have like the used gear or whatever, right? The, you know, the fucking the shitty ass hockey stick or something. You can usually start off with that, right? And then it's another example of life being harder to start with, you know, at the start than versus when you get there, right? So because you're salvaging that momentum. Like, don't lose your momentum either. Always just go at it. Don't be like stagnant. Like, just don't waste time. You can't get tomorrow. Like, you can't get today back. Tomorrow is not certain, right? Like, think of this, right? The past is like predicated on it's like it's from the past comes from the present, and the present comes from the future. Well, no shit, Sherlock. But like, if you really think about it, say you want to change your life, right? You know, what you actually see is actually technically the past. Because it takes a little bit of time to your brain to go, oh, what's this shit, you know? And then some guy talks to me, blah blah blah. Hats off, dude. I gotta do a video anyway. Anyway, so like, say you want to change your life, right? You gotta change your future, you know? Well, no shit, but like, how you do that, you have to break it down. You can't just, don't do everything in one giant tack step. You gotta like rocket thrusters and shit. You just break down every big thing is made up of a bunch of small things all put together. You know, you gotta like break it down step by step, make it into a bunch of small easy steps, and chain those shit together. You know, that's how you, sometimes, you know, what you want in life, you don't always get it as soon as you think you should get it, right? And likewise, the shit you don't like, you know, sometimes you keep happening to you. You know, you don't think you should, but it's like a swan song. You know, let's say you're failing at life. Life doesn't go fuck you and just deletes you. Sometimes it does, but it's usually slowly, gradually, it kind of makes you weaker and weaker and weaker until finally you kind of just fucking fade away or die, right? But power is like that. You have to like, excellence isn't an action, it's a habit. You have to slowly, it's like building muscle, right? You gotta fucking get ripped. You have fucking brown the protein drink, rip the weight. You have to like slowly build your way up, bit by bit, right? Like, it's a battle of attrition. Everything's a battle of attrition. I think some businesswoman said that. Like, everything's a battle of attrition in life. You keep on doing it, right? So you want to change your life. You want to change your future, right? You have here's yourself. You know, the good version of you, not the bad one, like the shadow. Everyone has their instincts, and everyone has, like, you know, people see them, but like, there's the good self within everybody, right? Yourself. Everybody has it. Everyone has their shadow. Everyone has their instincts, and everyone has their, you know, their ego, how people look at them, and how they act in public. But everyone has their good self, right? Focus on that, and you want that. That's in the future somewhere. That's your potential. Yeah, that's like what you could be. Everyone knows what they could be. It's like their conscience kind of. You just gotta listen to yourself. Just sit down, sit the fuck down, slow down, just breathe, and it'll come to you. But you know, that inner self, you know, that piece of some shit, you know, and how you change your life is you realize that your dreams, you know, are for the future, right? And what you're living in right now was usually somebody. It was a fabric, a woven fabric of other people's dreams that they actually acted upon, changed the world. And so you get sick, you take some medicine. And somebody's dream was to be, to help the medical industry, whatever, right? You say you want to drive your car around some shit. Some dream like Ford to actually have cars, you know. So yesterday's dreams are today's realities. Tomorrow's realities are today's dreams. Yeah, it's a good way to say it. So think of it like that. It'll help you out somewhat, you know. So don't get frustrated. Just keep failing. You realize that like you start off and just sucks ass. There's like you can like plot this on like a graph, and like the line say success is like up and like failure is down, and like time is like goes left to right on this graph. You know the graphs they go up and down. You know, up means like line goes up means it's good, line goes down is bad. So it starts off you're working hard ass. It's fucking putting the time, the effort. You're getting no success. It's usually flatline for a long time. Look at YouTube channel views, right? Putting all the work in. Sometimes you working harder than when they're when they're early versus when they're successful. They're working, they get no appreciation. Then they just like fucking. It's like the shit only drops when you get items with Warcraft when you give up hope in a sense. You gotta keep at that shit. You start with a deficit. You gotta slog. It's a great filter, what it really is, because everyone has that potential, that wall they gotta climb, but. Not everyone makes it to the top. Everyone says, yeah, I'm going to climb that fucking wall 100%. Yeah. And then they don't. And you're like, I'm the only one left. Fuck, you know? And then sometimes, and then, like, oh, fuck, I don't get how the fuck do they get up there, you know? That's good to have. So, don't give up. Start off, like, all shitty. I'm like, pointing at my keyboard here. Start off all shitty. And then you slowly get progress. Realize the sign, but it's not going to always be like that. Sometimes you're going to be like a little bit of success, then be a problem. Don't discourage. Keep back up. Realize it's almost like blinking. Like your success is blinking in. Your blip of success is like the one event. But then there's going to be a blip of silence. Like a blinking light. It slowly starts blinking. It blinks faster and faster, like dripping water before it starts streaming down in the strip. It's like it's like water. So it starts dripping, drip, 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 like successful drops. You turn the tap. There's no water or whatever, right? And then it slowly starts, it's like frozen, right? It slowly starts to thawing, and it goes drip, drip. It won't go psh, it'll go drip, and then be nothing, drip, nothing, drip, nothing. Then there'll be more drips, and be less nothings, until eventually it'll stop, and there'll be a constant stream, and the stream gets bigger and bigger, and the big chunks of bullshit ice will come out the thing, and then you'll be there. But most people give up. They're, the tap's not working, fuck it, and they just give up, but it's just, that's why there's more camaraderie in the northern nations. You can't fucking be an asshole because you freeze to death in winter. Anyway, but versus, like, where it's warm and stuff. So, anyway, everyone's usually fighting all the time. Like the deaths, like global deaths, so, like, where people die of violent crimes is all, like, a shit ton around where it's really hot, and, like, hardly anything where it's really cold. There's people up north, too, but whatever. But, that's not my point. It's like, if you want to succeed at life, like, I'm actually getting somewhat moderately successful, actually, like, beating back poverty and like getting a job, getting my shit together, actually don't fucking drink or do drugs. Those are just for like he's wasting time. You're basically doing drugs and drinking and shit like that. It basically you're truncating. Like you're like nerfing your lifetime, because shit takes a long time to get developed. You don't just instantly do it. It's you have to like you're making your opportunity window smaller, because you're wasting time. So I don't smoke weed and shit, because you won't get today back. You won't. So try to get something. Just try to get something out of today, even if it's just a bunch of bullshit that you can salvage. Right? You just eventually see the whole fucking house blows up. You can at least get something out of it. Salvage it. Right? Don't blow up your house, but make sure you can. If you fall down, you can get back up. Don't fall on a cliff. Oh fuck it, and just dive. That's negligence. Right? You have to kind of find that line where you have to keep on going at it. Right? It's just. Yeah, but you'll find people who have that type of energy, right? Who keep on doing it. They're the more successful people, right? And you can find these people. Just hold on to them. Holy fuck, there's not many of them in the world. Just hold on to them, because life is a weird thing where you keep on going and going and going. And you're like, oh, I'm done. And then life's like, no, you're not. You gotta keep on going. and then not just for yourself, just think of it, for your dreams or something. Just keep going for it, right? And look at old women who are 90 something, 98 years old. They like, holy, that's a lot of life. But a lot of people are comfortable. Like men too. Like men drink and smoke back then, just die all the time and do all that shit. But but if you actually live like not comfortably, healthily, right? You have a lot of time to do shit. Even if you did like, think of it like this. Say like, even if you did like a minute of something you wanted to do, like every day, for like 90 years. That's a shit ton of time. That's like years of time. Practically speaking. Waking up business days. It's just, there's so much potential in life. When you're young, you're always full of all these supposedly amazing ideas, but like, life takes a long time. To really, and usually it's not easy. I don't have to say that to you, but it's not fucking easy. It's hard. But adversity is the only thing that makes character. You can't go easy mode and get better. That's why these hardened motherfuckers who don't lose themselves, right? Who don't just fucking throw away their emotions to become numb and don't feel anything. But if you keep your emotions, you get like hardened and calloused, and but you still feel things, you're still sensitive, but you're hardened, but you're not like dead on the inside. You're actually still alive. You're like a tree in a sense, right? You have all your life and your sap on the inside, but you don't, like, for example, there's these big ass trees called fir. Big fucking thick ass, huge, like a foot of bark on them, right? So forest fire rips through this sucker, right? In the forest, all the bullshit trees die, and the big fucking fir is like, fuck you guys, I have this big fireproof thick bark, and then fire rolls away, and the fir still stands. It's like crazy shit, man. People can be like that, right? But you gotta develop your shit. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna be like the big fir tree. It doesn't work like that, man. Like, it's like, you have to slowly build up, and life rewards. Like, whatever you put your effort into, right? Usually you'll find something that's maybe not what you wanted, but that's like the Batman saying. It's like, not what we wanted, but what we deserve. It's kind of like that. But like Clint Eastwood said, success has nothing to do with deserve. You gotta work hard and sacrifice. Don't be someone's bitch though and sacrifice for no reason. Like, love has no meaning without sacrifice, but sacrifice has no meaning without love. Don't just do shit because it'd be the only fucker doing the job. Don't be someone's fucking workhorse bitch. Don't do it. Just keep at it, right? And eventually shit'll happen. Because everything, it's not about after a time. It's not like some Lombardi guy said this. It's like after a while, it's not like not the strongest person, the quickest person, the toughest person. It's the person who had the most will to win. The person who had the most hunger, the most veracity, the most person who just fucking ate the throat of the opposition and said more. It gets to the point. Life rewards that. That's not why people all the potions and shit, they burn hot. They want the DPS, they want the number one, all that type of shit, right? And life, be it by people's will or just by kind of the bigger workings of patterns of life, it's like they get the success. It's not so much it's almost like you also kind of get an edge on people, right? Because the more you're useful, the more things you get rewarded, right? So you can kind of shorten your you get more items, whatever, and more DPS and shit you do, right? So, but it's like they're saying, you don't have to run faster than the bear or the cougar or the mountain lion or whatever, right? You just have to run faster than the slowest guy, right? So, so you have to do that, right? But yeah, fuck. The dog here, Wesley, he got almost eaten by a cougar or whatever a little while ago, a year or two ago. The big fucking Franken dog, all his like pus and shit on his neck. He had like tubes draining his neck, and yeah, he's a fat dog, but he had all this like fluff and fur and shit. So he was a younger cougar, but like, yeah, I think the big cougar's around now. So I grew up a bit, so yeah, if he does that again, he's gonna die probably, right? So we can't keep him inside in the winter time. I think this winter is romping around the neighborhood, the big cougar, but yeah, anyway, but yeah, so it's, I think life's like that too. Life gives you lots of chances of things. You may not appreciate it, but don't even know what's going on. But like, say you fucked up, you just have a shot across the bow, like, say you're doing something, you just know it's wrong, right? And life will give you like a shot across the bow. Say like, oh, I almost could have crashed my car, but some bullshit happened and I didn't. But if you don't appreciate that, you'll eventually crash your car, right? You'll eventually like not smell the coffee and just fucking die. I don't know how you say it, but like, yeah, you gotta be alert of things. You can't just be like drunken loser mode. You have to really give a shit. It's hard giving a shit because you set yourself up for that emotional attachment. Oh man, my emotions. Oh, my investment. Oh, they let me down. I trusted you, and then they fail you, and they're like, fuck, gotta deal with that. Some people can't, but if you can, you can succeed. You can just roll over these weak people and just keep on going. You know, like, oh man, this verse, my problem, my plumbing broke or some shit, and like, oh, I can't deal with that. You just roll over these motherfuckers, and that's how you get successful. And you can make people successful too. Like, remember the whole thing I said earlier about, you know, these enthusiasts who have like all that prime shit, and they use stuff that they don't have, they don't need. They don't need, like, say they're a sports guy, they have all this crazy sports gear, but they don't have, say the starter gear they don't need anymore because they can only do one thing at a time, so they can't like play with 5 hockey sticks at once or some shit, or 5 baseball bats. So you can usually, like, you know, help people in your wake, like an apprentice to the master type of thing or some shit like that, right? You can, you know, so the enthusiast can have some type of inspiring to teach people, right? It's a natural thing starts to happen, and all of a sudden life pattern you see all the time happens, and all of a sudden you're the trainer guy, and people start happening. You're like a hub of the community or some shit, right? And then you start to see more of the perspective of life, and then you can be a boss and, you know, employ people and all that shit, right? So, but that's how it starts. You gotta, like, just keep failing at until you can't fail anymore, and then you just, all you got left in the tank is just, you know, life gets tired of you. It's like, fuck, this guy's just not gonna quit, so here you go, here's your success, fuck off, you know? And then, you know, that's one way you can do it, right? So I don't really know what to say anymore. I mean, that's on my mind, all that shit. I moved. Well, really got a new trailer, internet, new internet here, tools, a shop, better guitar, learn to sing, renovating, working on my house, cleaning up a shop again, doing a lot of yard work, working, raiding, yeah. I don't know what else to say, really. It's a lot of shit. I talked a whole bunch about the economy and whatnot, but, like, man, I guess that, like, let's see here. I guess just to do like a view of the guild, I guess, see who's on here, who's not, like, from last time. So it's, yeah, old shark, yeah. So yeah, it's just I don't know what to say. I guess I kind of want to fly this winter spring and be done with it, but I think I just, instead of doing that, I just truncated, I guess. Yeah, that's about it, really. Working on Baldur's Gate stuff, but we all play World of Warcraft, I guess, so it doesn't really matter. It's a bunch of items and shit, and a bunch of Unity stuff. That's kind of still doing that, and tanks, and yeah, nothing really else to report on, I don't think. I could just blabber off shit, but, like, it's not really significant, you know what I'm saying? It's just like day-to-day shit, like, you know. I guess some people, they just don't have anything going in their life, so, like, they always complain about the small things because they don't actually have any problems to deal with. So they're just like, oh my god, my cat shit on my couch. It's like, versus, like, trying to solve big problems, you know. So they have nothing, like, they have nothing to do, you know. They're kind of bored, so they just, like, focus on what's on their small sphere of what's in their head, right? You know, like, yeah. They never try to think about anything, you know, outside of it. Yeah, it's surprising too in life. Like, I guess one last point. I guess I'll fly to winter spring, but, like, some people, you can be your worst enemy in a sense, right? Where you just, like, how to describe this? You can make problems in your head. Say you're walking out in the darkness, you're thinking all these monsters and cougars and shit. Maybe for good reason, maybe for no reason at all. But, like, you fuck up once, right? Hardcore, like, you about cougar or something, you can't bounce back from that, right? So your brain's always, like, you know, panicking. Well, why is you're afraid of the, you know, like the analogy of, like, you're afraid of the grass rustling, because most time it won't be a big lion, but it just takes once, you know. It just takes one bad fuck up and that's it. Death is pretty permanent shit, you know. You can't just be like, oh, I want to undeath myself. here's my, you get a death jail free card. It doesn't, you don't have those shit, right? Maybe you get lucky and it, like, adrenaline needle to the fucking heart or some shit, or some, you know, revive back, or undrown yourself. When I was younger, I like drowned and like got like resuscitated, and that was a pretty shit life, just drowning the fucking little kid. But you know, shit happens. You know, you gotta keep rolling with the punches, I guess. What the fuck is this? Yeah. So, like, yeah, like, with life, you have to really kind of plan it out, you know? But don't look at it like from, oh my god, it's so daunting. Think of it almost like you're already there, and how'd you got there? Imagine, like, sometimes they can get more productive like that. You can kind of like actually like somehow generate like a solution by like looking at if you're already there. Like, oh, let's say you're trying to make like they park the car. Like, oh, I got the car in here somehow, but we did that. And like old Chinese proverb, some shit. It's like, don't look at the ladder rung by long. Look like you're already at the top of the ladder, and look how you got there, type of thing, right? Also, like, say a fighter pilot guy, right? It's like one of the best test fighter pilot guys said, like, don't look at all the shit you don't need to look at. This is more paraphrasing. He's more eloquent than this. Just look at. He's like, I just looked at just what I needed to, just what was right in front of me. I couldn't divert my focus. Anything else, I'll crash, right? So he needed to just focus on the one thing in front of him, just directly. It's just everything, right? Sometimes life you gotta be like that. You just gotta say fuck all these details. Just look at exactly what you need to move forward. You know, it's good to have tangent every now and then. You know, have a time respite and kind of recover. But like sometimes you have to just tone out all that shit and just focus on what you need. You know, like I have a bad vision, for example. My eyes are all kind of fucked up, like nearsighted. So, but it might kind of help though. Cause I don't caught up in all this bullshit, all these small details. Like, for example, you know, that saying, you can't see the forest past the trees. You know, like people get caught up in the details. They don't see the big picture of the thing, right? So they get like BC insurance. You know, the whole idea of car insurance is that you basically, if you crash your car, you're not fucked. You know, versus being fucked all the time. You know, that's because you have to pay this thing you don't need. To the point you need to have BC insurance just to fucking drive. It's retarded. Yeah, it's monopolized. Anyway, it's a new tax. Stupid. Anyway, but yeah, like, anyway, it's just like some people, like especially with like beauty and stuff, you know, or like men, they want these big muscles in the car, and they want to look tough and all these things like that. They think locally. A lot of people have local minds to them, you know. They think like locally minded, where they value their peers. A lot of people on here do it, you know. They're like, you think like, what's the point of DPS if there's only like 30 guys, you know, at the top? Like, just like, I guess you like each other a lot, I guess, to value someone's opinion so much that where they think you're good, right? But if you're, competition is good, monopolies are bad, so you kind of need people to kind of, wow, holy shit, that was amazing, how'd you do that? You need people like to do that, to admire, you know, to look up, people look up to you. But on the flip side of the coin, you have to kind of ask yourself the bigger picture of things. It's like, do you need other people to feel happy about yourself, you know? Like, especially relationships are like this and shit too. It's like, do you really need someone, you know, to feel good about yourself, you know, to feel fulfilled? Do you need someone else to make you happy? You know, if that answer is yes, you know, and then you may not be as strong or as capable as you may wish to be, right? Because sometimes you're gonna just have to do things on your own, and it's fucking hard. Because life is, that's the default. You're there, right? Some people are gifted and they have like a person who's always with them throughout their whole life, like their butt. Like some old people who live their whole life married, and the person dies, and the 1 week later the other person dies, you know? Shit like that happens. You know, birds like that too, like ravens and shit, you know? So I think we're a lot more potential together. I think that's why gay people exist in a sense, right? Because like that type of connection is more important than, you know, even material shit, you know? It's like, you say bitching about things, right? It's influence, right? You can, with influence, right, you can make value of things, right? You can, for example, you can get things done through influence, right? Say with other people's money for grants, or whatever, right? With influence, right? You exist. You try. So also you should fail a lot more, because if you with your influence, you're failing at something. You're putting influence into it. You're giving a shit, because money and stuff, it's based off of perceived value. Like, say you make a painting, it's just some color shit on a canvas, but it's our influence, how we see the world, that makes this thing valuable. Same with people, right? It's just fucking a bunch of on here. It's just a bunch of numbers and shit, and the boss dies anyway. So who gives a shit if the boss dies 3 seconds faster? If the boss dies anyway, if the boss isn't dying, then that's the whole guild falls apart. So if we all kill the boss, it's a success. But no, it's that perceived value. It's like the art of it, right? It's that art of how you perceive the world. How, for example, there would be no art museums. It was only one person, right? Because it's the sharing of things that I think that makes it valuable to a lot of sense. Because it's like why we underappreciate what we do, I think. Because if we just have ourselves to share it, it's like we don't actually see the... it's the unknown, too. Say, when I make video games, I know all the little aspects of it, stuff I hope I didn't even know, right? But it's all the bullshit involved, right? But when you see something that someone else makes, you don't see the bullshit. You see the refined, nice, beautiful pieces of it. And you're like, damn! I don't know why you say that, but yeah, this is good, you know? And then you're like, holy shit. And then this game is all like that, right? It's people work hard and bullshit and there's many layers to it and ugly. And they're like, oh, holy fuck! And then when they do it all, these game developers, they don't appreciate it, you know? Cause like, and then they don't know what's good or bad, because they're just like, you know, they're kind of like, you know, driving a big ass truck, you know, and you can't see directly in front of your blind spots. People like that, right? So you can create all this crazy shit around you, but you have blind spots, right? So, but when you're standing away from this person, you can see where they can't. Not everything, right? But you can see most of it. You know, and that's important. I think that's why it's good to have people around, because you know, people bitch like, oh man, your DPS sucks ass. You didn't do the fucking fire, but you didn't even tranquilize the fucking thing. You know, it's people are auditing people. They don't even realize it. It's like they have a hive mind going on. They're crediting people to why they suck. It's like the areas that they can improve on. If you just have yourself, you basically end up like smelling your own farts. You don't actually improve. It's like an echo chamber of your own stuff, and it's just you end up having these like stagnation, and you can't move on with that. You have to have people. That's why everything you ever wanted is outside your comfort zone, because it's like people will look at it, say this is stupid, but it'll show you where you're weak, and you know, half the battle of solving a problem is diagnosing it in the first place. You know, you have to like see, I'm fucked up in this region really bad. Like, holy fuck, I suck. But that's the first step. You start at everything. Remember earlier I say everything you start at is at a deficit. If it's a lot of it, you know, like you're born into the world, you can't fucking do anything. You're like little baby ass thing. You're like, oh, I need people that are gonna die, right? So you start with a deficit, and then you get better and better and better. But most people don't appreciate where they come from. You know, a little baby, you know, helps the world, right? But oh, I'm a big tough man. I'm a big fucking beautiful woman. Whatever it is, right? Everyone has humble beginnings. Everything, like the longest journey starts from the first step, you know, and like. Everyone's shit stinks. It doesn't matter who you come from, you know. But don't smell your own farts, because it's just you need people to criticize you to get better, to see where you're wrong. And like from wars and stuff, you build a tank and it gets blown up because some bullshit you didn't actually think about. And then people have like these little strategies how to counter, like PvPs like that, right? And so you have this hive mind collective where you have two competing sides who end up just making themselves better in the long run. Because, for example, the Russians and the Americans in the space race, there, right? They the Russians basically and the Americans build rockets, but it got to the point where America could build, you know, had more facilities to build rockets, so they built big rockets, and then the Russians had to build small rockets. They didn't have the big facilities, right? So they had to make more efficient rockets, and a bunch of them all together. There's big complicated bullshit going on, right? But at the end of it, end of the Cold War, they ended up combining the two technologies, these efficient small rockets, but with the big manufacturing of America, and they end up making the Atlas, basically this super crazy ass rocket, right? And it's a good example of why failing is good, you know, competition is good, and don't give up on things. And sometimes life is weird. Like, two warring people end up, like, sharing the same shit at the end of the day and making, like, so everyone wins. It's interesting. They start off like, oh, fuck the Russians and fuck the Americanskis and all that type of stuff, right? But at the end of the day, you know, they helped each other out, even if their intention was different from the outcome. Like my gear, for example, like my intention was, oh, let's get all the items in the ship. But then the outcome was like, you know, I learned all what it's like to grind for something, the experience of that, and all that type of shit. And I hope I get these items so I can complete it and move on. But you know, what you think you're gonna do is usually very different than what actually happens. And that knowing that difference gives humility and makes you stronger as a person, because you're like, I have my idea of life. My idea of life is just a perception, and we're flawed. We're human beings. My idea of how I think is going to work isn't actually reality. It's like the moment that makes you like a really human, like extra level of human. Because some people are like how animals look into a mirror and they don't realize it's not like another animal. They don't realize it's themselves. They think it's another animal. You know, people look at it's just a fucking myself in the mirror. But there's another level to that where if you realize your perception of reality is inherently flawed. And there's actually a different, like, even more real than what you perceive. What's going on. It makes things have more weight to them. Has more success in how you go about life. It makes you more powerful, realizing that what you see is flawed. Right? Everything you do is flawed. Everything we do is biased. It comes through human eyes. And how we humanize things through our human eyes. How we see the world, because what is valuable to us is seen through humans, processed through humans, and usually some type of hive mind. We all kind of agree on the same thing, more or less. But the world will exist with us or without us. It'll just keep on going, right? So realize this, that what you see is flawed, and that's okay, though. You're gonna die, you're gonna live. Just be human, be the best you can be. You can't be anything else. You have your potential being shit, you have your potential being great. Go for the ones being great. It's optional. Shit rolls downhill, right? It's easier to fall than it is to rise, so just go after it, because what alternative do you have? What makes you happy is, it's inside of you. Everything you ever wanted, it's there. Potential for to make a computer. You could have made one in the Stone Age and shit. All the metal, all the materials, we're all on the planet already. But it's that composition, that putting everything together. That's the key. And people are like that. They're like the planet. We have all these resources inside of us. But usually it takes other people, like a village, to raise a child into us. It takes a whole world of experienced people to look at us, analyze us, and break us. And it's like a phoenix. You break yourself down, you fail, but you get back stronger. Like building muscle. You break the muscle, you build back stronger, And then, through this process of constant iteration, iterate, you become stronger and stronger and stronger until you kind of come fluent in life, not just what you think of life. And then you can actually do things. You can actually, for example, the $2,000 of tools that I bought actually was someone else's money. Just influence. It was back, they're basically all mine though. So yeah, so I didn't know I'd even do it. I just struggled and failed, and it all came together, and it was just like, my version of how that happened is not exactly how life works. Just my best guess at how it worked. But stay true to yourself, and life will stick with you. If you're just some asshole who just doesn't give a shit about life won't give a shit about you. So give a shit about you, and life will give a shit about you. Don't give a shit about yourself. Life doesn't have time for you. It's like, if you go to life and say, this shit's too hard, man, I give up, I give in, I yield to your adversity. Life will give you nothing. Like I say, I will not give up, I will not yield. I don't give a shit what happens. Doesn't matter what happens, I will not yield. And you keep that up, you stick to yourself, eventually, life will yield to you everything. But most people don't get there. So you have to fucking battle. Life's a struggle. If life was easy, you'd be a slut, but life's a bitch because it's hard, right? So, for that, take care, have fun, see you later. Play old Warcraft, I don't know, and I'll see you later. with Amnesia, Matthew, Mildren, signing out. Bye for now.